Hey everyone, so patch 7.3 is coming out soon enough, and I'd like to keep you up to date with some things that you can do and also shouldn't do in preparation for the patch. Blizzard just announced that PvP Season 4 is ending soon. By the time this video goes up, there'll likely be a release date. So yeah, this patch is coming pretty damn soon, and let's just kick off the list with the things that I think you probably should do, or at least think about doing in preparation. First off, we have relics. So you might want to save up your relics in week 3 of patch 7.3, and the Netherite Crucible will unlock. This feature will eventually allow you to add a second trait to each one of your relics. For each relic, you get a choice of 3 traits, and you can't have duplicate traits in the relic. So even if a relic doesn't have the best trait ever, it's worth holding on to because the Crucible might allow for you to be able to put your best trait on that relic. The Netherite Crucible basically has a slot that allows you to preview what traits you'll be able to choose from. So basically, when that unlocks, you'll be just going through the relics in your bag to work out what's best. All of that said, you'll be able to target 9-10 plus relics with the new gear catch-up from this patch. So I think this really only applies to the people who are playing in the more high-end with access to easy 9-10 plus gear. Next, order hole resources. You will actually want to pull up a fair amount of these. Why? Well, basically, there's 3 new types of followers in this patch that are going to be unlocked with each of the 3 zones. They're one of those sort of consumable followers, but they're a good bit more expensive, though they are important to the new Argus order hole missions, and yeah, there's a hefty sum of resources involved. I would not advise going half-mad farming for these resources. I'm more just putting this point in there to say, don't go and trade them all into the new 7.2.5 vendor. They will be probably more useful in the future. So next, you've got leveling up alts. I normally do recommend that people, chill out, level up a few alts, something like that before a patch comes out, but this time it is even more the case. With 7.3, they're making it so that everybody gets high artifact knowledge immediately. There's more details in the video that I've just linked, and they're also making it so that the 3rd relic slot in your weapon is unlocked instantly. The 7.2 artifact empowerment is also going to be automatic, so now really is the time to get characters leveled up. Certainly if you want to try a new class in 7.3, now's the time to think about that. They're also making it so that many of the systems, the core systems of 7.3, are account-wide, which means that if you do want to roll a few alts in this patch, it should be quite friendly to do. Next, I would recommend reading up on the lore. Patch 7.3 is one of the most story-heavy patches that we've seen in quite a while, and it does actually rely on a lot of old lore and characters, even though there's some stuff that's been retconned, but basically I've done a few primer videos which will cover all that you need to know about the story in order to enter patch 7.3 and really enjoy that aspect of it. Another thing that I'll be doing personally is farming up some of the Marks of Honor world quests, and also doing some PvP. In the lead up, you'll end up having a whole bunch of them to spend on the first day of the patch, which is great because if you want to instantly pick up the Legion Season 3 and 4 Transmog Ensemble, you can farm the stuff up now and get that in day 1. Next, Obliterum. So there's a new set of crafted gear that uses a new type of Obliterum, which is called Primal Obliterum. It is obtained by trading in a regular Obliterum and a Primal Sargarite. Now, the new gear upgrades actually go up to 935 with a new tier of crafted gear, so I'd imagine there's going to be a pretty damn big demand for Obliterum and therefore a bit of a price increase. So whether you want to speculate on that market or not is definitely up to you, but I know I'm really kicking myself for not doing it last time round. Another thing that you may want to do is day 1 artifact power optimization. Pulling up some emissary caches and Legion Vault resources isn't going to be worth it for the sake of the new legendaries because this patch adds no random legendaries, but that said, you will get AK rank 41 on day 1 of the patch, which is a hell of a lot more multiplier than 40, which will give you a nice boost of AP to start it off with, and the same also applies to stuff like your Mythic Plus chest. Next, class changes. So while the 0.5 patches are normally the ones with the big class changes, we do see a few class changes in patch 7.3. Frost Death Knights are being tweaked so that they're a little bit less dominated by the Breath of Sindragosa talent, and then Viral Druids are having their skill floor increased by rebalancing Savage Roar and Blood talents to essentially allow for some of the more, or some of the less intense talent builds to be a little bit more viable. That's really all the major stuff here, but there are of course a decent few tweaks for most classes. Thankfully, Wowhead have compiled a brilliant compilation of the class changes into one article, so you can go and check that out if you're interested. Okay, next up, professions. If you're a big crafter, then be sure to read up on the profession changes. We are getting a new wave of basic crafting materials, along with essentially a new tier of crafts, including epic gems and things like that. This is going to make the current stuff less desirable and create a new market opportunity. You likely don't have to go all out leveling professions, though. Of course, it is Legion. Most Legion crafts are available from, skill level 1 onwards, but you just want to think about that if the economic gameplay is something that you do quite a lot. Okay, on to the list of things that I don't think you should do. Just don't farm AP before the patch. As WoW's got more and more systems driven, there's often when a new patch comes out, there's things to not do in preparation because it's just not worth your time, and artifact power is a prime example. I would not worry too much about it because we're going to be seeing massive increases to artifact knowledge in the next patch. From what I've experienced on the PTR, AK starts off at rank 41 week 1 of the patch and increases 1 level every week globally until you hit rank 55, and when I say globally, it means that, like, as an example, I copied a fresh character onto the PTR, and that week it was instantly rank 46. This means that I would not recommend going mad farming AP. It just won't be worth your time in comparison to what you can do when that patch actually drops. And while you do want to say progress to the Netherlight Crucible, it doesn't unlock until week 3. By the time you hit week 3, your multiplier, I saw some numbers, it's like 27 million, up from 4 million at rank 40, so I really wouldn't sweat it until then. Another thing that I don't really think you should put a lot of time into is working on endgame alts. I'd recommend leveling up new characters, but as I said, there's the 7.2 artifact empowerment is default, the 3rd relic slot is default, and because all that stuff's automatic in 7.3, I wouldn't really recommend doing them now unless you want to actually see the content. Next, don't accidentally stock up on Echoes of Battle and Domination. I saw a bunch of posts for the last PvP season where a whole bunch of people just got their echoes converted into currency, which is of course what should happen, but a lot of people did not really notice that, so yeah, be sure to spend those. Another thing that I would say is don't put time into 7.2 gearing systems. The Dauntless and Relinquish system is being superseded with a new one in patch 7.3. On Argus, we'll have 880 Dauntless-like tokens and then 910 Relinquished-like tokens. So I would focus on getting the more timeless rewards like farming mounts, getting your class mount, maybe the class challenges. Time spent farming nether shards just isn't going to get you far ahead or really be worth it at all in preparation for 7.3. So just spend them now, basically. Now, I also don't really recommend putting a massive amount of time into gearing up all your followers. If you're like me, then you might be big into the idea of having loads of alts to farm order hall missions for gold, like back what we did in Warlords of Draenor, where you could basically pay for your sub that way. Well, doing this now in Legion requires you getting loads of armor pieces. It takes absolutely ages. The good news is there's going to be a new catch-up armor kit on Argus that will take your followers to item level 900, so I wouldn't recommend putting in loads of time getting them to 900 now. It will be far easier when the patch drops. So really, that basically is what I think you should do and not do to prepare for the patch. For the most part, though, it's a pretty chilled out patch in terms of preparation. It is designed so you can get into it on day one and so that it's alt friendly, so really, if you don't have a lot of free time until then, there's little reason to get stressed about not being prepared for the patch. If you want to just take a month off and then log in when the patch comes out, then you'll be completely fine to do so. Anyway, that is it for my tips anyway. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.